Hello and welcome to the quarantine edition of First Academy. The whole world has gone on lockdown and the whole world has gone online. Today, what we're going to be looking at is a test that has always been exclusively an online test, the Duolingo English Test. Considering all the admission process of the universities are going on as planned, even though there is a lockdown, a lot of people are scrambling to take their tests online. And in the light of those events, the test that has become incredibly popular is the Duolingo test. Now, what is the Duolingo test and how good or how bad is something that we're going to be looking at today. Now, there are three things that work in favor of this test. One is that the test is pretty inexpensive. Two is that the test takes only 1 hour. Three is that the results are out in 2 days. Yes, 2 days. These are the things that make this test popular. So, what is the test all about and what does it entail? Let's take a quick look. So, what are the things that make the test really good? Like I said, the price. How much does it cost? If you're taking the test in India, it's relatively inexpensive. As on today, the test will cost you 3,380 rupees. That is all that it will cost you. All you need is a valid international credit card. Now, what are the other things? Let's take a look. Indians love tests, and Indians always consider taking the test for the first time to be a trial run. So, how many times can you take the test, and how often can you take it? Like every other English test, you can take the Duolingo test any number of times. But there is a caveat. You can take the test only 2 times in a 30-day period. So it's not a calendar month, it is a 30-day period. You take the test on the first and then you take the test on the second. You'd only be able to take the test 30 days later. So that is something that you'd have to keep in mind. And no matter how many times you take it, please remember you'd still have to be paying those 3,380 rupees for the test. Now, what is the one troubling thing? This is what can trouble a lot of us. Now, as Indians, we haven't embraced the whole digital thing as much as the rest of the world, and we are still dependent on pen and paper. And whenever there is something that we need to remember or something that we need to recollect, we go back to noting down on pen and paper. Now, that thing can cause serious issues because taking notes during the Duolingo test is absolutely prohibited. And if the proctor sees you taking notes, you will be monitored via the webcam. You will be banned from ever taking the test. So, this is something that you need to keep in mind. Remember, you cannot take notes. Now that we are done with the basics, let's look at what questions the test has. So, remember, Duolingo is an adaptive test in the sense that it'll look at presenting you with easier questions first. So, one of the first things that you'd encounter when you take the test is where you are expected to record yourself speaking a small statement. So, all you need to do is repeat a statement like this: Yes, I'm going to eat. You click the record now button and record yourself saying the statement. You have 15 seconds to read the sentence, understand it, and then you can click record now and record the statement. That would be the first question type. Moving forward from there, you are given another question type which is just as easy. You are expected to speak the English word for each image as it appears. You have 3 seconds per image. Now, don't worry about what kind of images you're going to be presented with. The images are going to be simple and straightforward, and the kind of images that you'd be able to summarize in one word. What are they? Let's take a look. So, look at a word like this. You could say flames, you could say fire, you could say a blaze, and each of these words would be considered correct. Every word that explains the image, providing that the word is in English, would be considered a right answer. From here on, the difficulty level goes up a little bit. You're presented a more complex image and you're expected to write one or more sentences that describe the image. Remember, one or more sentences. There is actually no word limit. So if you'd want to give a very detailed description, you're absolutely free to do so. But remember, you have 1 minute to write whatever you'd want to write. Now, the next question type is something a little more complex. You're presented with a paragraph, and paragraph will have words that are partially complete. You are expected to complete these words in a manner that is both orthographically and grammatically accurate. Orthographically simply means that the spellings should be correct and the word should be in the grammatically right form. So if you pause the video for a while, take a look at this paragraph, and we can then go on to the answers. So what are the answers for these? And remember, you have 3 minutes. Let's go to the answers. So you have studied, where they're looking at the tense. Again, studied. Religions, they're looking at singular and plural. Then they're looking at the present tense. Graduated, because we are talking about in 1999, and everything is in the past tense. So you'll have multiple questions of these kind, testing you on different aspects of English, both grammatical and otherwise. The next question type is where you're presented with a group of words, and from that group, you're expected to select words that are actual real words that you'd find in a dictionary. If you look at the other words, there are words that you'd never see and words that are easy to eliminate. Words like this: panics, strementi, whatever it is, spoiled, unfall. All these are words that are not in English. So you are expected to click on words that are real words. And once you have chosen all the words that you think are a part of the language, you click next. Then the next part is something that will test not only your ability in terms of knowing the language, but also your ability to listen to and understand those words. You're presented with a set of words again, and whenever you click on the word, you'll hear the word spoken out. Once you hear the word, you'd have to decide if that word is an actual English word or not. So they're looking at your ability to listen and understand every syllable. So once you have decided that these are the words that are real English words, you select them and then click next. The next question type is a logical extension. Not only are you expected to hear a particular statement, you're also expected to type that statement down. So the statement is played and you get to type it down. If you don't understand the statement the first time, please remember you have two replays. So you can replay the statement only 2 more times. After that, you'd have to type in whatever you remember and then click next. Please remember that this is a timed task. Now, the next one is about speaking. You'd be given something like an IELTS cue card, and you're given 30 seconds to speak on that. You have about 20 seconds to prepare. The question is going to be very, very straightforward and nothing sensational, but understand that they're looking at your ability to, number one, use English correctly, enunciate clearly, and pronounce each syllable in such a way that the listener would be able to understand. Next part of the test is something that is going to be really challenging for a lot of people. They'll present you with a question, and you're expected to respond to that question in at least 50 words. You're given 5 minutes time to do this. Remember that it says at least 50 words. So, unless you type the required 50 words, you would not really be able to go to the next question. You'd have to wait till the timer runs out. But if you're able to type those 50 words in less than that time, you can immediately move to the next question. So, say you're able to do this particular question in 1 minute or say 2 minutes, you would be saving almost 3 minutes and you'd be going to the next question. This question type actually marks the end of all the question types in the Duolingo test. Once you're done taking all these questions, you move on to the next part, which is the interview and the writing sample part. Remember, you'd have to do this, but remember that your responses will not affect your score. However, the institutions will be able to view your response and view what you've said and what you've written. And remember, your responses are being recorded via your webcam. So make sure that you say something nice and that you're presentable when you're taking the test. So, what are these questions going to be about? Again, something pretty straightforward. So, the first thing is where you'd be given a choice of two topics. You'd have to pick one of these two topics and you'd have to speak for about 1 to 3 minutes. Once again, the same Duolingo conditions apply. How? Once you choose a topic, you click start, and that will take you to the next screen, wherein the question is again presented to you, and you're to speak for 1 to 3 minutes until the timer runs out or runs down by a minute. You would not be able to click on the submit button. So, indirectly, Duolingo is forcing you to speak for at least a minute. So, this is something that you'd have to be really, really ready for. Once that is done, you then have again 3 to 5 minutes to write on a topic. Now, this is actually the writing test. Remember, you'd at least have to write for 3 minutes, and till that 3 minutes is over, you would not really be able to submit the test. Now, Duolingo says that it will not affect your score, but something tells me that this particular piece of writing would be assessed in terms of how lexically accurate it is and how linguistically strong it is. So I'd say be prepared to do the best job possible. This brings us to the end of the video. Well, almost. So these are all the question types that are there in the Duolingo test. But remember that this is an adaptive online test. And if you take too long in taking the test, there might be new question types and question types that you haven't expected. But that wouldn't matter because, irrespective of what the question type is, it is going to do only one thing, that is, test your ability to think, understand, write, and speak in English. So that's all for now. Have a good time. Enjoy learning during the lockdown. And like always, be awesome. Have a great time, guys. And if you need more information on the Duolingo test, visit our blog at www.firstacademy.in/blog. BLOG. Bye bye.